Last week I had one scheduled in from 5:30 to 5:50. At 6:10, he says he's got some people running late. Do I mind waiting? And I said, yeah. Like I said, I've got a call with a client. The client wasn't on until 6:30, but I said they were at 6:15. So I need everyone out by 6:15. And then he didn't proceed to pack up or leave. So I was like, I really need you to go. And he's like, oh, don't worry, we'll be quiet and whatnot. And I said, no, like this is a call with a client. I can't have people walking around in the background and listening in on the conversation.
No.
And I was like, it's just disrespectful. Like, you've got to remember that this is still my place. Like, I still live here, and people are coming in, and I get it. Like, because if I was buying somewhere, I would want to see the cupboard space and the wardrobe space and whatnot. But legally, they're not allowed to do that. They're not allowed to open anything because it's my stuff. It's my personal stuff in there. But they're all doing that, and he's not stopping them. And I'm like, I get that they would want to see it, but it falls back on the owner. The owner should have waited till I was on month to month, and then, you know, they could have been more flexible. They could have kicked me out with a month's notice and whatnot.
I'm so sorry. Can you just like move here instead, and you can stay with me, and you can stay in my little.
Well, I might need to save money so that I can buy a place.
We can do that. We can arrange that. That would be so much easier for podcasting too. Priorities. Oh, yeah. Come, just move here.
But yeah, at the moment, I put a bunch of stuff on Marketplace today to try and get some money. Do you want to buy my blue bikini?
Girl, I have like 5 bikinis here that I need to sell.
Yeah, I was like, I just put that on Facebook, but on Marketplace, I put like my gym equipment that I had during lockdown.
Blue bikini? Wait. Blue bikini? You had a pink one.
I had a pink and a blue one.
I don't think I knew about the blue one.
I posted on my story, so when you've woken up a little bit, you can have a look.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a mauve kind of blue. I think that's what it's called. And then so the gym equipment I put on Marketplace, which usually sells for quite good because they charge per dollar for kilo. But I just don't know who's looking for gym equipment now that there's no lockdown and stuff. And then I sold my camera today, not my new one, but like my old one that I wasn't using. But he paid cash, and I'm kind of like, I need it in my bank. But what I thought was I would just like use that for all my groceries and everything, and then put more money into the bank.
Yeah.
And what else am I selling? I have like a phone stabilizer thing, which is like a tripod where if like you move around, it like stabilize. So like if you're running, it will like stabilize the phone for you. Yeah. And I never use that, so I put that on there. And there's one more thing. Camera. I have an air compressor that I brought because Tim, when I was living with Tim had one, and he used to always like pump up my tires with it. And I was like, I'll just get like because he like works with cars and stuff. So I was like, I'll just get a little mini one so that I can do it myself. I haven't used it once because I don't know how to. So I was like, well, I can sell that. But yeah.
What about the like 18 Ninja blenders that you have?
Well, I've only got 2, so I don't have any room to budge there.
The Ninja budget has been capped.
Yeah, but I'm trying to cut back on everything. I put a pause on my coaching. I put a pause on my videographer. I'm not sending anything to the editor, and I'm just doing it all myself. Which, oh my God. So I filmed like 6 videos, and then I looked back at them to go edit them, and I'm like, the quality is so bad. Like, what am I doing wrong? So then I was like, maybe it's just the lighting. So then I made the effort to take it all into the gym because it's always good lighting there. And I was like, and I did it again. Came back, same issue. And I was like, oh my gosh. It turns out that I didn't take the film off, like, you know, the plastic film off the lens.
Oh,
so then I was like, oh, this is like the 3rd time that I'm filming these. And then there was like a couple that the audio, like the microphone wasn't plugged in properly, like just rookie things that I didn't. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, fucking, like, it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. But then it's like, no, that will annoy me because like these are ones I want to do series on. Like each one was like on a PED, like a compound. And I was like, but then the first like 6 videos will be shit quality and then the next 6 will be good and it won't look consistent. So then, yeah, yesterday I was just stressing myself out because I'm kind of like, it's in my mind, I'll do it now. And I'm like, you've got other days where you can do things, but.
Do you find that when you record things, like if you have to go back and record the same thing the second time, either you rush through it or you're like approaching it with like a frustrated tone?
No, I actually find that because I know what I'm saying now, it comes across more casual and more content and more confident. Yeah, so it's quicker to edit because I'm not stumbling as much. It's more like I'm just kind of talking to a client because it's already in my head because I've recorded it twice and I've edited it like 3 times.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying.
Yeah. But yeah, sometimes I notice that with my, like when I'm doing with it with my videographer though, like if I'm trying to rush through them, I'm like getting frustrated.
Yeah, I find that like whenever I record something, even if it's the same thing, like I know the script kind of the second time and it's easier to say, I feel like I rush through it and almost come at it like almost passive aggressive.
Yeah.
So if I need to like edit it, I'm like, or redo it, I'm like, I'll do it in like 3 days from now because I just can't be bothered.
There will be some like when I'm editing it and then there's all of a sudden where I'm like, Stitch, shut up.
The angry tone in the background.
Yeah, it'll be something like he's drinking water. And I don't know, like you've got a small dog, but big dogs, when they drink water, they are freaking loud. And I'm just like, stop drinking.
Okay, I want to talk about this. We're going to go off on a tangent right now. So the dog that we have, he's like 800 years old. He's deaf and blind and drools and farts and snores and like all of the things. His snoring and his like just his breathing like annoys me. What is it where and it's just like noises. Certain noises really bother me. If someone whistles, it's like that high pitch drives me insane. If I hear this dog snoring or like drinking water, I'm instantly triggered. Like so angry.
My dad used to always be like that with my mum. When my mum eats, she does this thing where she swallows like her saliva, but she does it so loud. And it didn't bother me, I think, until I turned like 18. And then I was like, that is really fucking annoying.
Like, what the hell is that?
And Tim did this. So Tim's into like music. He plays drums, he plays guitar, he's all self-taught. Like he's one of those people that will just like teach himself whatever he wants to teach himself. Mm-hmm. And very visual. Like, so for example, I don't know if I told you, he might be buying the property next to me.
Yeah.
I know that sounds so weird that like your ex-husband's, but I'm like, do you know how comforting it would be like if my hot water's not working and I'm just like, Tim, come over and fix my hot water?
No, the moment you told me, I'm like, this is brilliant. Like this just like makes everything so much easier.
It's perfect. And he's got my German Shepherd, so then I can hang out with my German Shepherd all the time. But anyway, so when we were going, I was going to show him the place for the office. And he picked me up and I was like, do you need me to tell you where you're going? He's like, no, I looked it up beforehand. But he doesn't have a GPS. He never uses a GPS on his phone. So before he goes anywhere, he will like look at the map and he can visualize it and just remember every direction.
Okay.
And I'm like, how the fuck do you do that? But anyway, so he's one of those like very visual learners. He will just look at something and he'll teach himself. And he used to play a lot of music. And one thing that drove me nuts, if you've ever dated a drummer, they do this all the time.
Oh, I've never dated one, but I know. Yeah. Yeah.
And so when they're bored, that's what they do. But he would use my lap to do it rather than his lap. So we're sitting next to each other and I'm just like, get your fucking hand off my knee.
Don't touch me.
Yeah.
Like high key triggered. Yeah, I don't know. There are just some things that drive me absolutely insane. It's wild.
Yeah.
I feel like it's almost I've become a lot more sensitive. And like I need to sleep with earplugs in and stuff like that. And loud noises like really bother me. Maybe I'm just getting old.
When you're sleeping, if you have like a stomach ache or even just like a little bit of fluid in your bladder and you're like, no, I can't sleep. Like I need to get up and go to the toilet.
So I'm like, I'm going to pee myself if I fall back asleep.
Yeah. It's just uncomfortable because like I sleep on my belly. So like then the pressure of my weight on my belly and I'm like, oh. I'm so sick of getting up to go to the toilet. I just want to sleep.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so many things. Okay, let's get into this. Let's talk about some things.
Oh wait, one more thing. So Stitch does this adorable thing at night when he's tired and I'm like not ready for bed and I'm just watching TV. He'll come up and I'll be lying on the couch and he just puts his head like on me and then like a paw, like I'm ready now.
That's so
Can
cute.
we go upstairs to bed?
I love it. I love that so much. Are you a person that like loves your bedtime, or do you always try and like struggle and stay awake later and then like fall asleep on the couch?
I'm terrible at like getting to bed because I'm the kind of person that we'll get into this today, but I'm like everything has to be completed before I go to bed. And if I have a thought or I need to message someone, like my clients are pretty respectful and they're always like, oh, I don't want to message you really late. And I'm like, don't even worry about it because I will message you really late sometimes because I don't want to forget.
I use like notes and calendars and like little reminders and stuff. I will make a list and being like, these are the things that I need to do in the morning.
We've spoken about this where it's like we have a list, but then we also have a list so that we don't forget the list.
Oh yeah,
like I've got
a reminder list.
Yeah, I've got a to-do list upstairs, and then I've got a to-do list on my laptop, which is just like a document that I create each month with like things that I need to do. Because when they come to mind, like when I'm working, I'm like, I'll do that. And then I've got one on my fridge, and my fridge would just be like, text this person, call this person, pay that, or like remember to remind them about that.
Remember to check the list in the other room to check this off.
Yeah. I feel like most of my stress is remembering to remind people of stuff that I shouldn't have to remind them about.
Oh my God. I think that's a job of like being not even an entrepreneur, but just like having a business and like doing some kind of customer service. It's like half of your job is reminding people about things, about the basic things.
Like even with this house, I'm getting a bunch of customizations, and originally they weren't able to put a wider door in the garage. And so the way that this is my property and then the garage is behind it. So the front door to the property is just like your standard front door. And then you got the wider back door, but then you got the garage. And the garage just had like a normal standard door in there. And I was like, it's so annoying, like for moving furniture because you've only got single doors to go through.
Yeah.
You can't like just, go through the garage and then go through your door. You can't just go through the back door because you can't get to the back door without going through a standard door. So I was like, I want a wider door in the garage. And originally they were like, no. And then when I went there with Tim, I was like, the garage isn't even built. Like, why can't you put a wider door in there? And so then he's like, oh yeah, I'll message them on Monday. So then on Monday, I'm like, remember to message the builder. And I'm like, I shouldn't. He's selling me the house. Like, why do I have to remind him of that?
I know. I have because we compete in a few weeks and me, and then my husband's coming with me. So I have a reminder. I've asked him before to take care of the car rental. So I have a reminder in 2 weeks from now to remind him about the car rental. And then a second reminder, like the week of, to be like, did you get the car rental? And give me the details on it, because I don't want to deal with it, but it's easier just for me to like text them, be like, car rental. Like fucking take care of it.
Yeah, rather than worrying that they didn't do it. I was just saying with Tim, and then he would get like shitty at me for like mothering him, and I call it gentle mothering or gentle parenting, whatever they call it. But I'm like, did you remember to do it though? And he's like, well, no, but I would have. And I was like, but you would have remembered too late.
Yeah. There's a reason why I need to gentle mother you, because you don't remember to do these things.
Yeah. There was a lovely TikTok on this, and she's like, it was, I don't know, maybe like a Sunday night or something. And she's like, do you think that you should plug your laptop in so that's all charged for tomorrow? And he's like, oh yeah, I'll go do that. And she's like, do you think that you should take your clothes out of the washing machine now so that they're dry for tomorrow? Yep. And it's like, that's how I was with him. I was like, do you think that you should?
Yeah. Like just a reminder. Yep. Did you do it? Yep. Christian always says yes. And I'm like, but you didn't. And he's like, but yes. I'm like, no. I don't know. It's a Spanish thing, Mexican thing. I don't even know. Okay. Well, I feel like we are constantly, do we need to introduce ourselves?
No.
Okay. We know who we are by now. I feel like this is such a good topic for us to talk about, because I feel like you and I constantly are in this. Like we're never too far away from it. Obviously talking about like burnout, because how many times have you and I, or like I've woken up to like get a message and you're like, I'm just like not feeling good. Can we like reschedule? Or like I will do that, or we'll just be like, hey, what's up? You're like, I'm burnt out as fuck. So I feel like this is something that like we can very much relate to, and not just coming from like an entrepreneur perspective, but like everybody. I feel like this is adulthood. We have so much shit to do, and this is why we have 800 lists and taking care of things. And I feel like talking about kind of like how we navigate through burnout or manage it or managing stress, I think it's always a good thing, like always a relevant thing to talk about.
I think mine's going to be more of like my lack of ability and where I know that I fall short in doing it. Because I think you're the way that I kind of visualize it is you're one step ahead of me, whereas like you're very good at recognizing it and then taking a step back and setting your boundaries. I'm still learning to do that. And even sometimes like when you message me and you say like, thank you for respecting my boundaries. And I'm like, I don't want to.
Like, fuck boundaries.
Yeah. We've got work to do, Court.
Yeah, like I'm sorry. That is just reminders for me. That and it's more so like I know that we're talking about like boundaries and burnout, and it's all kind of like related, but I feel like when we set boundaries, it's for ourselves. It's not for other people, you know? So like, if I say like, thank you for respecting my boundaries, it's just like, it's my reminder. It's my to-do list reminder. Yeah. You know, it's like that little note, be like, okay, like I needed to do that. And we are very much like, go ahead.
I think the fact that you say that too makes me kind of like take a pause and go, she needs this. Don't get frustrated, or like don't try and push her in one direction type of thing. Like, you know, if it was someone else saying, no, you can't do that, but they didn't say that it was a boundary that they needed, sometimes I'll be a little bit like, let's work out a way to make it happen. Whereas like for you, I'm just like, just leave her. Let her do it.
Just let her fuck off. Yeah, we're very much the kind of women that like to do it all. We're entrepreneurs, and I feel the training aspect, like if we're serious athletes and we go into the gym, like we have a lot of like the masculine energy, and we want to, like we talked about this on, I don't know, one of our first podcasts, but we always want to feel like we can do it all. And we never want to ask for help, whether it is our husbands or our ex-husband next door, like whoever it is, like we never want to ask people for help, because we feel like we are maybe like inefficient or we're incapable. And that has like this massive spillover into every area of our life, right? Like if we ask for help in one thing, it's like we feel we can't do anything. We're completely incompetent, which obviously isn't the truth. If we take time off or we try to slow down, we feel like we are being unproductive, or we're lazy, or we have those to-do lists just like eating away at us. I almost try to like justify myself sometimes if I'm like, okay, I need a day off. Maybe that means like taking an extra day off of training or whatever. And I call it parasympathetic productive, where I'm still doing things. I'm not just like completely dead to the world and lying on the couch or lying in bed. And sometimes I do need that, and I will do that. And it's only because I've learned so many times that pushing through that burnout or like that breaking point, it doesn't work. And I just got so frustrated with myself after so many years of doing this. I'm like, okay, when these signs come up, I need to chill out, because it's like recovering from a surgery or a procedure, and that like, if you don't recover, it's just going to get worse. If you don't recover from your sickness properly, it just comes back and like gets you again. So I've learned. So when I'm parasympathetic productive, it's like laying on the couch while doing programming, or doing tasks that like aren't too demanding, or doing the light fun things, but it's still getting some things done, you know?
I do. I think that I do the same thing, but I've put notes, and I know that you've read through them, but mine's more of like an overwhelmed distraction.
What do you do when you feel like
I'll go over what I wrote yesterday. I was in the mindset yesterday, and now I've forgotten everything. So what I wrote was like, with ADHD, often for me, tasks feel overwhelming, particularly when it comes to starting new projects. So I find myself procrastinating with other tasks. So that's kind of like what you were saying, but for you, it's more productive. Whereas it's me, like, I will start with the lighter tasks to try and get me in the momentum, but then I will keep putting off doing what was actually the priority and find a bunch of other things to do. So for example, like if I had a client to onboard, it might feel too overwhelming to start that process, that I might just instead update a client's program, or I might edit some videos or something like that, because that's something that like I don't have to concentrate so much on, or that I'm not so afraid of like missing things. And it leaves me feeling, so like it often leaves me feeling overwhelmed, because then I've got like, instead of just having one major task to do, now I've got like 20 other small tasks to do. And I emotionally sabotage myself, and my to-do list each day is way more than the normal person can manage on a typical day. I'm not very good at spacing out my tasks. It's like, hey, you can do that Monday and then you can do that Tuesday. Like if I have something that I want to get done or I want to get completed that week, it's all getting done Monday, but that doesn't mean that I don't do anything Tuesday to Sunday. It means that I find more tasks to do.
You like and then overwhelm yourself and add things in.
Yeah. And then I feel a sense of pressure and I get hard on myself, like I need to get it all done. So I take away from supportive factors like maintaining relationships or having that downtime. And you mentioned about like not wanting to reach out to people for help. And I think for me, it's like, I'm not afraid to ask for help, particularly like with things that I just know nothing about. Like, for example, like I said before, like turning the hot water on. Mm-hmm. But I feel like because I dismiss maintaining relationships so much that I feel bad, because like the only time I really reach out to people is when I need something. And then like, I know that sounds so like horrible and mean and stuff like that. And it's not intentional. It's just that I put those things aside, and then it's not until I need them for something that I'm like, hey, I kind of need you for this.
I feel that. I can very much relate to that as well.
Yeah. And I don't do it intentionally. And like, I'm conscious of like how bad that sounds, but it's not something that I do to be cruel or to be mean. And like they do mean a lot to me. And I used to have to explain this to Tim. Like I was like, I don't know. It's like little things. It's like if I send you something like a video on TikTok and that of something that I think you'll find funny, that's me trying to like maintain the relationship, because that's all I kind of like have the capacity.
Here's a meme.
Yeah. And taking things off my list makes me feel like it just makes me get overwhelmed with dread, because I'm like, oh, well, maybe that is important, because I have trouble kind of distinguishing what's a priority and what's not. Like, so for example, if I had to do the groceries, but then I was like, oh, I can probably not do that today. Then I'll be thinking about it all day long. I'll be like, oh, but then is that not more of a priority than, I don't know, getting this video edited or something like that, or posting on Instagram, or I don't know, doing my tax return or something like it's, I have trouble conceptualizing which is more of a priority. And so then I just do it all, because I don't want to be thinking about the groceries that I didn't do. Where was I?
The next paragraph. Ignoring like your...
So then I ignore my physiological needs like hunger and tiredness. Like I still do eat, but I will have lunch at like 6 p.m. Just because I'm like, before I go and do my lunch, I'm like, all right, I can take Stitch for a walk first, so then I don't have to think about that later. Or I can feed Stitch now, so then I don't have to think about that later. I can do my stretching now, so then I don't have to remember to do that later. I can respond to that client now. I can write that email now, so then I don't have to remember to do it later. And then I judge myself for not taking better care of myself. And eventually I just shut down and find myself scrolling on social media or watching some mindless reality show. And then I revisit the feeling bad about myself for the time I wasted, which would have been better spent doing the productive tasks that I had on my list. But instead I chose to numb myself with like scrolling on social media. And so then I stay up super late getting my list done.
It is like this hamster wheel of like, it's not even self-sabotage, but it's like attack.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like this little vicious cycle.
Yeah. And when I'm like watching these shows or I'm on social media, I will like say for social media, for example, the videos are pretty short. I will never watch a full video through just because I'm not even taking it in. Like I'm literally just trying to find more and more things to distract myself from thinking. And so I put here the spoon theory. So the spoon theory is like, let's say you have everyone has 3 empty spoons a day. Or you could use cups, you could use bowls, whatever you want to use. Let's say that a typical person, to get up in the morning, to have their shower, maybe walk their dog, get dressed, head off to work, might take up like a quarter of a spoon. For someone like me, that's like a spoon and a half. Like that takes a lot of thought and a lot of like, oh my God, like I have so much to do kind of thing, because I'm not looking at it as just something like a routine or something that can get done when it gets done. It's like, when I wake up in the morning, it's like, okay, I got to take that call, and then I've got to take Stitch for a walk, and then I got to come back, and then I got to shower, and then I got to vacuum, then I got to get my vitamins ready, and then I got to take my electrolytes, and then I've got to get my gym equipment together, and then I have to make my breakfast, and then I have to head to the gym, and then when I get back from the gym, I have to stop by the supermarket, and it's like already like it's 10 a.m. I've been up for like an hour and a half, and I'm already stressed about the things that should just be kind of automatic to me, but I'm looking at them as like a to-do thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like you wake up overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Girl, let's unpack. Let's go through your whole schedule. So what I do, which has like immensely helped me, and this is something that I kind of adapted through prep protocols, and then it's turned into like off season and whatever, is I use Google Calendar, and that is like my everything. And I have all of like my appointments and schedules. Like I time block out my workout times, but I also add like buffer time. So anytime my workouts are more or less like an hour and a half or 2 hours long, but I will literally block out a 4-hour time block so that nothing comes in between, like before and after. And then I will time block out especially when I'm in like peak week, I will time block out like shower, hair wash. I have my meal timings blocked out in there, and it's just little simple things that helps me not think about it. And then when it's 3:00 in the afternoon and I have to eat my next meal, I just get like a little buzz, or it's like a little notification on my phone or my watch, and it's like, your next meal's in 30 minutes. And it's little things like that where like you don't have to think about them. I have a reminder once every 2 weeks to top up. I have like my little supplement organizer, like my little pills. Every 2 weeks, I get a reminder to refill that. And then I will time block out like when I have to go to Costco and then what I have to get on there. And I will make sure like when I put it in there, and Google also has a feature called tasks, and they sync together. So it'll be like this little checklist that you can have. So I will put my tasks in as appointments. And that helps me to be like, okay, I know that I have to like message this person, but I'm actually going to put it in my calendar so that I get a notification that later on I have to message that person. And it syncs to your phone and it syncs to your computer, so you don't have to have like 800 lists everywhere. It's all in one place. That has helped me so much.
Yeah, that sounds like overwhelm. Like not like, I get that having it all done is like very helpful, but like setting it up gives me anxiety.
Yeah, it's taken me a while to like get used to it, because I've been using it probably for like 2.5 years now. And then I've just learned like little bits, and I have different calendars. So I actually have a work calendar, and then I can like show it and then hide it. And then I have a personal calendar, and I can show it and hide it. And I have a social media calendar. So when like the best times are for me to post and what I'm posting and stuff, because I have certain things that I share. But that has like really helped me to manage burnout, I guess, for like lack of a better term. So I'm not just feeling like as overwhelmed.
So like another example that comes to mind is like when I was working with the social media guy, and this happened quite often, but this is one example. I did a video on lower back pain. It was done with like proper setup, proper camera and whatnot, but I did it in my living room. And then when he went to review it, he said, I feel like all these videos, like when you're talking about training stuff, should be done in the gym. That was just a suggestion for him to say, like, in future, when you're doing videos on training, make sure it's done in the gym. I took that as, now I can do all these videos again. And you bet that I did them all again that day, because I didn't want to have to think about the videos that I have to refilm for the rest of the week. Because to me, that was a task that should have already been completed, that then it can't be pushed back any later because it was already meant to be done.
Do you find that when you have tasks, you underestimate how long they take to do?
No, I feel like I'm pretty efficient at getting through things, but then I think that's like my demise, because that's when I keep adding.
You're like, could I have done that better? That didn't take too much time. Should I do it again?
Yeah,
I will.
either can I do it better, or either like, okay, well, now you can't just sit and do nothing. So be proactive with your time. And let's say like if it's a social media stuff, be more proactive with your time and write more scripts. And it's like, you've got like 30 videos waiting there to be posted. You don't need to write more scripts. But it's like, yeah, but then I'll be sitting doing nothing. So I should just do something.
I feel like this is very much an entrepreneur thing. Like if we're sitting there and we're doing nothing, it's like, what did I forget? Or like, I'll even have like these moments where I'm like, what am I doing with my life right now?
Yeah.
If I have like nothing to do, I'm like, oh my God, I can't handle it.
There was a meme that I saw, and it was two pictures next to each other. They're the same picture. And it was this girl just like stressed and crying. And the first picture had when you don't have enough clients. And then the next picture was like when you have too many clients. And it's like, it's the exact same. Yeah, it's like, what am I doing wrong kind of thing? Why is no one working with me? And then when you get the work, it's like, oh my God, I didn't want all of this.
I was going to say it's almost like a form of self-sabotage, but then I don't feel like I know where that's going. So I'm just going to like go over that. What are typical signs for you where you feel like you are on the edge of burnout? So even though you feel like you said you haven't been able to necessarily, I don't even want to say overcome it, but able to better manage it. But what are like the signs that come up for you where you're like, yep, it's going to happen, but you still go full steam right into it?
I think for me, because I'm not so good at like recognizing it internally yet, I did obviously like at the start of the year, I spoke about like how I got really, really sick. And I think that was like a really big sign of it, like showing up in my body. But also, I think like as a byproduct, I find that I'll be really short with my mum, because like she's just like an easy target. So like if she calls me, I'll be quite rude to her. And then it will take her to go, hey, like you're a little bit rude on the phone. And then I'll be like,
there it is. Yeah, I was. It's like, you know it.
Or she'll be like telling me the story, and my mom's like the kind, like when she tells a story, she has to like set the scene. And I'm just like, Mom, what's the point? Yeah, like you should have told me this story the other day about how my brother just had a baby, and his missus is a little bit over the top and doesn't want anyone to hold the baby and whatnot. Mum went around to visit and asked if she could hold the baby. And she's talking about like the conversation that they were having beforehand. And then when she was waiting for the baby, how the baby was reacting, how Cade's my brother, how Cade was reacting, then how his wife was reacting. And I was like, but all you wanted to tell me was they didn't want you to hold the baby. That's all you had to say.
You get like anxious, like listening to the story, and you're like, just where is it? Where's like the peak?
Oh, because I already know. Like I know what the point of the story is. So, you know, I'm one sentence in and I already know what you're saying. And I want to say what I have to say before I forget.
I feel like that's almost some kind of like anxiousness where we're so far ahead of ourselves. We're like trying to be in the future, you know, and we're not able to be in the present. And I feel like when we're constantly like rushing through things and almost feel like, I'm sure at some point, if your mom's telling this story, you're almost feeling anxious because you're like, hurry up, get to the point. Why? Because I have shit to do. I have like to-do lists and stuff to do, right? So we're like anxious because we're thinking about things in the future and we're not able to be in the present, which like it makes sense. And it's not something that we can be like, oh, I'm just going to drop it and like just relax. Like a couple days ago, I went outside to relax and lay in the sun for 20 minutes, which is the first time I've done that literally in over a year. And I went and I laid down, and then instantly I'm like, okay, so if I have 20 minutes after that, I can do this and this and this and this. And it's like that accumulating list, right? And we have that. Whenever I go for a massage, I will do that. And that's when I've created this calendar for me. And when I use it, it helps me to like better manage that. So that I'm like, okay, for the next like 30 minutes, nothing needs to get done. And I just need to like chill out. And then I can shift into work mode afterwards. So that's kind of helped me.
Because you use that calendar quite often, how good are you at handling the unexpected?
I think because I have learned so many times, adding things in sometimes doesn't work well. And I've just had to say boundaries. Like, is something a dire need? Probably not. But oftentimes, okay, for me, for example, I have posing clients and they want to book in last minute sessions because we have a competition here next week, which I'm so excited for. And they'll be like, oh, can I book in a session? Well, my availability is closed up and I could technically squeeze somebody in, but then what is I can't even think of the term, but like the risk or the side effect that comes with that. Well, am I affecting other clients? Am I affecting myself? How am I affecting myself? Is it going to be rushed? It's so easy to say yes in the moment, and then you get to it and you're like, why the fuck did I agree to that? So saying, like, what I find oftentimes when we have boundaries and when I do, like, I have certain time blocks of when I will take clients. And if I don't have that time block available, it's because I have learned in the past that doesn't work for me. And I can't be of like good service. So sometimes like unexpected things will come up, and it's just, I have learned to figure out, okay, what is really important? And then maybe I can delegate that task to somebody else. Like, okay, say my car doesn't work or I get a flat tire or something. Okay, can I fix it right now? I could, but then I could also see if maybe my husband could do it for me, and then I could ask him, and then I can go do my shit.
Yeah. I had a flat tire at the gym this week. And I wasn't going to drive off with it because it was like fully flat, and I'm like, it's going to blow if I drive.
You can't do that.
And I've got a big car, so like it weighs a lot. And then I was asking the guys in the gym if they know how to change a tire. Do you know like how little guys know how the amount of guys that just don't know how to? And I'm like, you're a man. Bubble wrap? Like, fuck, learn how to. Anyway, one guy was able to. He didn't end up being able to fix me because we didn't fix my car because he didn't have a jackhammer. But anyway, while he's out there trying to work on my car, I'm like, I'm just going to be in the gym finishing my sets because I don't have time to stop. But what you were saying about like, you know, the anxiety of like when people are talking and you're just thinking about things that you need to get done and you're like, hurry up and finish. I feel like Tim and I are really good at that because we were like, I will literally go over to his place and he'll be like, okay, you can leave now. And I'll do the same to him. He'll be over here and I was like, you can leave now.
Like, you're done.
Yeah. And we know like it's no harm and we're not trying to be rude. Well, like it is rude to say, but we don't take it as rude because we're just like, cool, he wants to do what he wants to do and I want to do what I want to do. So like, leave.
Yeah. I feel like that is a very good kind of relationship to have. Be like, okay, I'm done. It's also like a respect of other people's time, you know? And not that other people don't respect, like it's not saying like your mom doesn't respect your time because she wants to tell a story. I find that also that generation, because I relate to that with my parents, is, how do I say it nicely? I don't think I can. It's like they don't really have much going on in their lives, you know? And like they just want to talk to us.
Yeah, or they weren't brought up in the chaos that we live in now.
Yeah. I blame social media a lot and the internet a lot for that.
Yeah, me too. And I think like with something like when Tim tells me to leave, I know it's because he wants to go down to the garage and work on his car. When I tell him to leave, he knows it's because I need to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like an understanding. For me, typical signs, like when I'm on the edge, and this is like my big sign is I get an eye twitch. And it's really hard for me to tell. It's really hard for me to tell when I get Botox because like all of this like goes numb. But I do notice usually at the bottom, I will get like just this little eye twitch. And the moment that comes up, I'm like it's hiding in the corner somewhere. And I know that at any point it's going to get triggered. And that is my sign where I'm like, okay, I need to go back. I need to look at my to-do list and my tasks and where can I chill out for a little bit. And sometimes it'll come up in different elements. Like I might be overworked physically. I might be overworked like emotionally, or with being on my computer too much, being on the screens too much, and be like, okay, where's that coming from? So it's not that all of a sudden like I get this eye twitch and I'm like, oh, easy fix, just apply this and and it's done. It's still like I still need to put in the effort. So that's when like something unexpected comes up and I'm like, okay, now I need to revisit my schedule. But I know that if I don't take care of it, it gets worse. There was one time, I don't know why this like always comes back into my head, but it was like back in 2017. I'm pretty sure like years ago, I talked about this and like made a whole podcast about it. Like it was a thing. I like made it like this historical event. But I had this burnout in 2017 so bad where it was like 3 weeks and I felt like I couldn't do anything. I laid in bed. I didn't work out. I basically fucked off on all of my client work and I just did like the bare minimum. Like I couldn't be a human because it was so bad. And I was like, I will never let that happen again.
Yeah.
So I learned it very hard.
I have 2 points. And I only say that now because I know that I'll forget one if I don't say that. I had two. One is when I am very, very like overwhelmed and stressed, I get really bad stomach pain and I get really bad diarrhea, which often leads to me losing weight. Then the other thing, which is not good for anyone, the other thing that I was going to say is when we're talking about our parents not kind of being brought up in this chaos that we're brought up in, I feel like with social media, the biggest downfall of it is that we're exposed to so many people and we're exposed to so many things. And they're like mini relationships and no human being was meant to manage that many relationships. And I'm sure like you've noticed and like recently for me, like as my social media platform grows and more people DM me in that. And I'm just like, I can't reply. Like I'm frozen and I don't want to. I'm just going to read and leave. Oh, I don't even read the message. I'm just like, whatever kind of thing. Or like the comments. And I'm just like, I can't. I just like, I can't be exposed to this. I can't reply to this many people. I can't have this many conversations. The amount of people that like respond to my stories and I'm like, I get that it's good that they're responding, but I can't give them any more than a double tap.
Yeah, I get that. I used to be really irritated by that I would like respond to somebody's message. And this was like, this nothing to do with you. This was like years ago where I would like respond to someone or they would, I don't know, I would give them like a heartfelt response or message or comment and they would just double tap it. And I used to get instantly irritated. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I just reached out and messaged you and that's what you give me. But then coming at it from the other perspective, like how you just said, that is all that you can give right now.
Yeah.
And sometimes like seeing it from the other perspective is I can't get mad at that. I just know that's my boundary. And that's something that I've learned is like, do I need to do that? And then how do I respond or react to their response? I can't control how somebody responds to me, right? I feel that entirely. Sometimes I will spend hours, literal hours in a day, just responding to messages. Like I hate my birthday for that because, and then of course, like that's my fault. I will post and be like, hey, it's my birthday. And then what do I expect? Like 3 people to message me and then I get upset about it. And then 300 people message me and I get upset about it because then I feel like I have this obligation, this self-inflicted obligation to have to respond to everybody. And I can't do that.
Yeah. And I think you would find too, there's a couple of people who will message you every day. They will reply to one of your stories every day. And I hate to say it, but it's usually the older guys. And it's just like, dude, stop. Like, you're not offering me any value here. you just keep like, you're just wanting me to respond. You're not wanting to purchase any, like, and I know that sounds bad, but you're not wanting to purchase anything from me. You just, you're like, you're just wanting the comfort of having someone to talk to. Like, please stop making it me, because I don't know you from a bar of soap. I don't even know you by your first name. Like, can you please?
I just know you from your Instagram handle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I've also learned how to kind of like close down or end a conversation. So if somebody responds, I'll be like, thank you, like whatever. And then be like, I hope you have a great day. Peace sign emoji. And then that kind of is not officially closing the conversation, but it doesn't necessarily leave it open-ended for the other person to like respond and add something else.
Yeah. And like, I'm still getting horrible comments on like those posts about the way that I look and whatnot. And I've just gotten to the point where I'll just like their comment and I'm like, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah. Yeah. Like you aren't engaging in that conversation. So it doesn't have to take any more energy from you.
Yeah.
One thing, I guess like kind of relevant, I was talking to a new client, or it was like a client inquiry a couple weeks ago. And she was like, how do you manage like your client roster? Like how many clients do you take? And I know that some people, and I think for you, you like to have a big roster. Some people can manage
not
that.
A big roster. So the way that I do it is I have 4 days where I do check-ins. So the max clients that I can take on is 40, because I won't do any more than 10 check-ins a day. Yeah.
Okay. 40 for me right now, because I'm shifting into competition prep. I can't even fathom that. I have like 5 and I'm like, oh my God, so many people that I have to deal with. But there was one point before, this was years ago, where I was doing the lifestyle coaching and I was just getting into it. I think I had 82 was my max. Now those responses and the check-ins, they were very light and very simple. And I was like, okay, I can do all of that. And it was like fairly flowing. But there are some prep teams and the coaches have like 100 clients.
I don't get how.
And I'm like, how do you do that? How do you give the quality? And of course, like maybe they just have better time management or they have better skills to be able to do that. But for me, I know where my limits are and I know how my energy gets refilled and how it gets drained. And I think just having that own self-awareness in terms of like energy intake and energy expenditure, if you want to call them calories or whatever, is I know like where my limits are. So I know it's your spoon theory. We're coming back around. You know how much things require of you. And then you're able to like better manage your time. Well, hopefully. But for me, like the client inquiry, and she was like, how many clients do you take? And I said, I will only take on the clients until I start to feel like I'm nearing my max. So right now, that's not a lot of clients. But maybe in a year from now, I'll be able to take on 2, 3, 4 times that amount because I've been able to better manage my time. And it's not that it takes away from other clients. I just know how to manage it better.
Yeah. And I think too, like one thing that I do have to do with my clients is like with boundaries, where I'm like, but this is probably where I do implement boundaries. Like if I send off their plans, I tell them, okay, if you've got any questions like after this, please respond to this email so that we have everything in the same thread. You're welcome to message me on WhatsApp, but not in relation to this, because then we have the conversation here, here, and here, and it's overwhelm for me. And then when they do message me on WhatsApp with a question, I'm like, please respond to the email, like I said in the video and in the email with the video linked. Like it's, you've got to respect it there. Or like I have the 4 days I have check-ins, they'll be allocated to a day. And I say it has to be submitted by midday Melbourne time. So if you're like overseas, do it the day before. And then you know that it's being done on time. And then it will come to 12:30 and they're like, some clients will be like, hey, like can I submit my check-in later or can I do it tomorrow? I'm like, no, because you knew when your check-in was and you've messaged me afterwards. I said, like, I've got to have a cutoff time. Otherwise, clients would just be checking in every day and I would never get time to do other tasks throughout the week. And I said that you can't just request that you do it on a different day or they'll be like, you just get to it when you can. And I'm like, no, because when I can was today. when I had it planned in to get
next
back
week on this time when I have time allocated for that. That's what I have as well.
Yeah, because otherwise I'm doing it when I shouldn't be doing it.
And that takes away from other things.
Yeah, because of your lack of organization. And it's not something that, they'll be like, oh, like it's half an hour late and you normally don't reply till like 2 p.m. or whatnot. And I'm like, I don't care. Each week that it's in before 12 p.m.
Yeah, I have that as well. And there's been times before where a client would literally check in 1 minute later. And maybe I was highly irritated that day or whatever. I'm like, it's not the point. Like, you don't have to wait until the top of the hour or like the literal last minute.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not that they do it as a point of like, oh, I'm going to piss off Dazz and I'm going to do it like an hour later. They're not respecting their own time and boundaries. They're not, if we're talking about clients, they're not respecting their own like health. Right. And then that is not our responsibility, So like, we need to better manage that.
And at the same time, when they say like, I didn't have time to do my check-in, and I'm like, I don't understand that, because with what we've got, you're meant to be doing your biofeedback every day. So then when it comes to check-in, all you have to do is upload photos. Everything else is there.
It should take 5 minutes.
Yeah. So what you're telling me is that you didn't track anything throughout the week and you were planning on filling it all in today and then submitting your photos, which is not how this rolls.
I'm always fine with calling out clients like that. And it's not me being like on a little high horse, but maybe like I probably am. But it's like, okay, let's go back to this because like we're adults and we need to do this. But then sometimes like we need that own little reality check sometimes as well. But I feel like that's kind of the, I don't know, standard in today's society. But I think it's important. I think being able to set boundaries, and that comes back to like our conversation, I think like at the beginning, where I'd be like, thank you for respecting my boundaries, where like, this is my limit. One thing where it's like last week, I was just in my own fucking feels. Like I was a grouchy little tiger last week, like hardcore triggered with everything. And I sat down with myself and I'm like, okay, where are these triggers coming from? And like, what can I do to better manage it? And if I didn't manage these things, it would probably lead to some kind of burnout, or at least, and I know like the biggest thing that impacts or that would be impacted by my burnout right now would be my prep. And I'm like, that's always like my number one priority. And honestly, all of it came down to being on my phone. Like, how much are we triggered by being on our phone? So I was like, okay, I'm going to start having better boundaries. I am not going to be on my phone when I'm in bed. That goes when I go to bed and when I wake up in the morning. I will not go on my phone before I do my check-ins, because I have to do not client check-ins, but my own personal check-ins and my posing practice in the mornings. And I won't be on my phone while I'm eating a meal, because I tend to do that. And then that it just like accumulates. And that's really helped me like slow down, and I feel like better manage boundaries, but then also like manage burnouts as well. Just like know where those little things are starting to come from.
Yeah. I think that like a big thing that kind of rolls into all these tactics is communication. So like, what I'm working out with my dad at the moment. And it's just like, he will send me like, he will send me like a bunch of documents on my phone. And I'm like, for me to email to people. And I'm like, you have my email address. Why don't you just fucking email them to me, so then I don't have to send them to myself, so then they're in my email and then I can send them to them. Or like, he'll be like, he'll be like, this is what they need. And then he'll be like, I don't have like my bank statements. And then I'm like, Dad, I don't know what they need. I haven't received, no, I sent it to you. No, you fucking didn't. Which is what I've been asking you to do this whole time. If you just send me the first email with the list of things that they need, then I can organize it. But you're not. You're just taking screenshots on your phone and then sending it to me, which is much more difficult than forwarding an email.
Know what that like wraps up into? It's like people not taking responsibility, and people, okay, when if a client asks you a question and you're like, you could Google that. Or it's like, I got this new supplement. How am I supposed to take it? Well, what the fuck does the label say?
Yeah.
It's that kind of communication where it's like, can you make this easier for me and do what you're supposed to do on your end so that when you send it to me, it's like done. It's the same
Do you
thing
want
with
me
the
to tell you how to
emails.
wash your clothes as well?
Yeah. Like if you have a new client and they have questions, it's like, can you just make this easier for me and put them all together instead of sending like one question every day and like random times a day? Or like, I'm in the middle of my workout. Can I swap for this? Or how do I do this? It's like, that's not that it's like a breach of a boundary, but like, if you see that, you have to drop everything and respond right away. So instead, why don't you make this easier for both of us? Do the work that you're supposed to.
And then send an email with all your questions.
Yeah, review everything. And I feel like that it's not being dismissive, but it's let's make this easier for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that is, I don't even know, like lack of communication or just like a lack of almost comprehension.
Yeah. Or they'll be like, the shoulder press was taken, so today I did dumbbell press. I don't give a fuck. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, double tap.
Thumbs up emoji. Thumbs up emoji. Yeah. I'm like, cool, get it done. Yeah.
Yeah. But I totally get, like, it's just like, you're not the only, like, not that you're not the only client kind of thing, but you've got to respect that, like, it's not a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship where you can just message shit all day kind of thing. Like, let's respect the professionalism as well. Like, I'm happy to have a relationship with my clients and when they send me nice messages and that and whatnot, but don't message me something that's urgent, like in the middle of your workout, because I'm going to reply when I have the energy to reply.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of like the same with, what was I going to say? I had a client, I had to end up dropping her because like she would never do a check-in. And instead, when I messaged her and go, hey, like you missed your check-in this week, she would be like, she'd send me screenshots of her journal of what she had eaten for the week. And I'm like, cool, that's not your check-in. I don't know what you want me to respond to that because that's not your check-in. And that's not the information that I need to be able to progress you forward.
We have systems for a reason.
Yeah. And they understand, like when we did this onboarding call, I took you through exactly what you'd be getting and what it would all look like and what would be expected from you. You agreed to it. And now you're just doing your own thing, which is not.
And then you reaching out, which you don't have to do, you reaching out to be like, hey, you missed your check-in. That's already going beyond your boundaries.
Mm.
Yeah. Man, this episode has just turned into like this triggered things that piss us off. It's not even like talking about burnout.
I don't want any clients to listen to this and think that I don't want them messaging me. Like I love the clients that I have now, and I love how much they message me, and I love that they respect that I'll get to them when I want to. None of them have ever said, hey, did you see that message or anything like that? They all know that I will get back to them within the day. I just need to wait till I have the energy to be able to respond. And I think that they're all very good at respecting that. So if any clients are listening, I love you.
Me too. I love you too. It's not that we're like pointing fingers and calling people out. It's just we're expressing based on the scenarios that we know, which what we do is we deal with clients every day. And these are the signs that come up. You know, so we're talking about these from like an experiential point of view. What is it, subjective versus objective? I always get those two confused, but you know what I mean. Do you know who Leo Skepi is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fucking love him. He's so great. I was listening to, he had a podcast episode talking about burnout. I want to like wrap this back into the burnout thing. He was talking about you're not burnt out. You're burnt out doing the mundane shit that you're tired of doing. And I think that's always a good thing. Like you and I, we get burnt out. Like we'll use you, for example, because you like to do 800 videos and stuff. And then let's say like you get burnt out making content or creating your new funnel system or whatever it is. And it's because you're tired as fuck doing almost like the boring shit that isn't necessarily progressing you forward. It's like all of those like micro mini tasks that are required in order to get to the big goal.
Yeah.
So
I think sometimes that's true. Like sometimes at the moment I enjoy the creativity of the videos and stuff like that. It's just more like when I think that it's done and then someone makes a suggestion and then I'm like, it's not fucking done.
like I am not open to suggestions. Have a suggestions box.
And I think I think we get that. Like if you're doing like the show notes for the thing, I don't go in and go, hey, like you need to redo this or you need to fix that or whatnot. I'm like, cool, like that was her task. I gave her that responsibility. I really don't give two shits what the end result is. I'm going to post it. Like, and you'll be like, oh, like read through it and give me your thoughts. And I'm like, I never read through it. I'm just like, yeah, cool. Like whatever. And like, I'm sure like you're the same with me. Like, it's just, I gave her that task to do. That's fine. And or like when you do the graphics, I'm never going to say, I don't like that graphic because I didn't want the responsibility to do it. You wanted you chose to take the responsibility to do it. I'm not going to give two shits about it.
Yeah. I think the strive for, it's not even like perfectionism, but like things that bother us that shouldn't bother us.
Yeah. But I think that's why, like, remember how we said like we have trouble asking for help? I think that's why too, because it's like we want things done a certain way, where it's like we don't really have so much trouble asking for help when we don't care about the end result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the micromanaging, because if you ask somebody for help, then you have to micromanage them to get the result that you want. So it's like, I'll just do it on my own.
Yeah, like, if someone replaces my car tire, I don't really care how they do it as long as like I can drive home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're so picky. I want to go through, because you had listed out some suggestions to manage burnout.
Okay. So take 4 deep breaths. Ask yourself, can I feel my feet? Can I feel my heartbeat? And can I feel my breath? And this gives your body the opportunity to regulate and the chance to show yourself kindness by attending to your needs. So I think it's more just about like pausing. And sometimes I'll do this, like say if I'm in the grocery store and I'm like overwhelmed by the things that I have to do after I leave the grocery store, I will purposely like just stand there and I'll be like, my feet, my heart, my breath. Okay. Like I'm good to go.
I love that.
And I do it in my car a lot too. Like, when I'm stuck at a traffic light and I'll be thinking about, oh my God, I'm in a rush. And I'm just like, it's okay. Learn to make the transition from attacking yourself to supporting yourself, and then use the spoon theory to create boundaries. So I think like the reason like that spoon theory comes into play is what you said. It's like understanding how much energy tasks require of you so that you can understand like how to prioritize or mitigate those tasks, or like know where your threshold is to how much you can take on each day. Like I know in the morning that my tasks are very overwhelming for me, and it's not something that I'm just going to accept. It's something that I do have to work on and learn to like, it's just a morning routine. It's okay. But then I'll be like, okay, I will only take one call in the morning then, because to take two is just too much.
Yeah, I feel that as well. And I think that's why the Google Calendar helps me, because I can time block out. It's not just like one little task. I can set it for like 6 hours. And what I like to do sometimes is, let's say, because I have like my fitness app that I do, I will time block out extra time. And it's like giving me buffer time, because maybe the task only takes 30 minutes or 45 minutes. But what if something comes up that I forgot? Or what if like, I don't know, I have to go to the bathroom or someone comes to the door or whatever, and things take a little bit longer because like life happens. So I will time block out extra time, and that helps me better manage my time throughout the days, instead of putting like 800 things in my calendar on my rest day and being like, oh, I can go to this store and do this and this. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, but I forgot that I needed to meal prep and I needed to do this and that. And I wanted to slow down for a little bit. So that just helps me like better manage my time, and then set my boundaries and limits. So I know like how much I can take on. And then sometimes if those tasks get done earlier, like quicker, I'm like, I'm not going to do more today. Maybe something that I have to do tomorrow, I'm like, it's tomorrow for a reason. And I'll just like leave it alone. And usually that eats away at me, but I'm getting better at that as well.
Should we wrap up? I need to go.
Yeah. What did you say? You have to go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay, let me do a
selfie. Should I just be like this?
Why am I like? Okay. Yes. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Wonderful.
Dude,
Okay.
this is like the 90s kid like pose. That's all we know how to do.
That's what we do. I don't even know. Like sometimes people like put up peace signs, and I'm like, where did that come from? Like obviously, it's like it's a very, I think, like an Asian thing.
Yeah.
Where it like originally started.
You got like that smiley face, and then you got the upside down smiley face. Because I love the upside down smiley face. I wish there was something like that with a peace sign, like this, and then yeah.
A town down.
I remember I had a friend when I was growing up, and he used to be like, when something was like bad, he'd be like,
oh my God. Yeah, I had a friend that did that too. Like, no.
Yeah.
That's so upsetting. Okay. That wraps up today's episode of Femme Radio.
So make sure that you're subscribed and connected with us for more discussions and empowering conversations that redefine your health.
Thank you for hanging out today. Bye, friends.
Bye.